This is Daniel Breddick for ESPN Cricinfo with Ian Chappell on the final day of the Test series between Australia and India at Adelaide Oval. So Ian, it couldn't be much more comprehensive than it has been across all four matches.
No, I think the Australians would be delighted with what they've done. Michael Clarke talked about after the third Test victory that we want to make it 4-0. There's no dead rubber as far as we're concerned, and his point was that if we want to get back to number one, these are the sort of matches that we've got to win. So I think he'd be pretty happy. Once again, it's been a good formula. Pitching the ball up, little bit of movement, even on a very good Adelaide Oval batting pitch, little bit of movement, and backed up by good catching. Terrific performance from the Australians, and the Australians showed what you had to do when they batted. There was a lot of mediocre scores around 2 double hundreds, and that once again was the difference. The Indian batsmen got started, but no one went on and made the most of it. It's been a dismal performance by India.
Yeah, the Australian team had wrestled a little bit with inconsistency in the preceding year. Do you think that they've made a graduation step to improve that way?
Oh, I think they've definitely made improvements and steps in the right direction. And if you've got a good attack, as I've said so often, if you've got a good attack, you can fight back and you can bounce back very quickly. But I think we just need to see them up against a side that's prepared to fight a bit harder. I mean, India, on a number of occasions in this series, have had the first 3 wickets out quite quickly. And then, if nothing happens for the next hour, then they fall back into total defence. And you would hope that good sides wouldn't do that sort of thing. And Australia has still got flaws, there's no doubt about it. But the improvement in this summer has been terrific.
When you mention flaws, what would you be doing about the cases of Shaun Marsh and Brad Haddin when there's, I suppose, some domestic cricket shield matches in the back end of the summer ahead of a West Indies tour?
Well, I think Brad Haddin has his keeping has picked up. His batting, you would think he's a good enough batsman. You would think that his batting would bounce back. But the important thing is that his keeping has. I think in Adelaide, it's probably his best keeping of the summer. So if Brad Haddin's at his best, there's not a problem with him holding his spot. If you're going on a tour to the West Indies, maybe you take a second keeper. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But at this stage, I wouldn't be pushing Brad Haddin out. The top order batting, well, the thing that's got me mostly concerned is Watson. How the hell can you be out that long with a calf injury? And Watson's a really important top order batsman in that Australian side. I can only think that there must be something else wrong with him. Otherwise, I can't believe a calf injury can keep you out that long.
Turning attention to India, there's not a lot of good news on the horizon. There's a lot of sorting out that's going to need to be done between now and their next assignment, isn't there?
Well, if ever I saw a team or a cricketing body that needed a thorough review, it's India. And they need a review from top to bottom. It's no good just heaping all the blame on the players and saying, the problem is that they're ageing players. There's a culture problem, and there's a culture problem not just on the field, but there's a culture problem off the field. And as I say, that review needs to be from top to bottom, and they need a lot of brooms to do a lot of sweeping, not just with the players. Selection's a problem, but I think administration's a problem because they've allowed some really bad culture to creep into the Indian team. And the problem with that is, if you keep allowing that, then you've got young players coming in and being subjected to that bad culture, and it just continues on. So I think India, as I say, whether Australia needed a review or not, I wasn't so sure, but India definitely need one.
As for the older guys in the Indian side, Dravid, Laxman, Tendulkar. Dravid and Laxman have had very poor tours with the bat. Sachin has made a few runs, but seems to have gotten himself a bit distracted.
Well, I think the problem with India is it's a star culture in India, not just in the cricket team, it's in India. And I think that star culture has caused a problem in the Indian side, because I think there's been too much concentration on what Sachin needs to do to break this record or that record or create this record. And you know, I've always said that the difference between Australian cricket and Indian cricket is that if Sachin Tendulkar makes 100 and India loses, the average cricket fan in India is happy with that result. Whereas in Australia, if Australia wins and Michael Clarke fails, then they're happy. They're not happy that Michael Clarke's failed, but they're happy that the team has won. And to me, that's the big difference. It's a team thing with Australia. In India, it's an individual thing and a star thing.
And what would you do in regards to the Indian captaincy? Obviously, MS Dhoni has had a fairly ordinary tour and didn't play in this game because of suspension. But how would you be tackling that?
Well, here again, I think you've got a cultural problem, because it's almost like they have a formula for captaincy, India, because Sehwag basically came out, looked terrific early on, he did some things, they got 3 wickets, he was imaginative, but then suddenly, when nothing happened for a while, boom, you went back to this formalised captaincy. Now, you know, here again is the problem, because if you've got young guys coming into the team and they're seeing this formulated captaincy, hopefully they're not going to think, oh, this is the way you do the job. Hopefully they're looking at what Michael Clarke is doing and thinking that's captaincy and what we're doing is not captaincy. But, you know, major problems, because Dhoni certainly isn't the answer as a test captain, Sehwag not the answer, and, you know, I don't know where they go from there. I mean, Kohli probably is a future Indian captain, but I'm not sure that he's ready just at the moment.
Last but not least, I thought I'd ask you who would be your man of the series?
Well, I'd be tempted to go with one of the bowlers, despite the heavy scoring from Ponting and from Michael Clarke. I mean, Clarke, in addition to his heavy scoring, there is his captaincy, and I'm sort of a bit between that, Clarke batting and captaincy, and probably Siddle bowling, and the fact that he's got so many important wickets. I'd almost, you know, I think they've been equally as important to Australia winning. I'd probably have to give them half a trophy each.
Fair enough. Thanks, Ian.